Can you make a living selling on Poshmark and eBay, Mercari, wherever, Facebook Marketplace, all these different places? Can you make a living selling low price items $20 or less? And the answer is yes. And I'm going to show you exactly how and give you tips on how to make it happen. So before I show you how, we have to decide what make a living means. That's going to be different to everybody. So I'm going to show you the math for just a general scenario, but you can do this depending on what your living is. I will tell you a take home of $80,000 for a family of 5 in Denver Metro. That's not enough. But you know, that might be enough for like a single person who's living somewhere else, or even maybe in Colorado. But we're just going to take this. You can change the numbers. Like I said, take home of $80,000. That means this is how much you need in your bank account to make a living. However, when you're reselling, there's things like cost of goods, there's things like shipping, there's fees. I'm going to do a contribution margin of a roughly 50% for the ease of math. If you know what your contribution margin is, then you can change the number to reflect your numbers. This is a general scenario. This does not take into account expenses, right? So most resellers have very little expenses. We work out of our house. Our cost of goods is already counted in contribution margin, very little minimal expenses. However, if you have a storage unit, or if you are paying virtual assistants or employees, then you're probably going to need to inflate this gross a little bit more. So to get to our gross number of reselling, I just doubled it, right? Contribution margin of 50%. That does not include expenses. We're assuming our expenses are really low. If you want to see a more realistic picture of what these really does look like, I do a video every single month, and I'll link it up here, how much I make, and I go through my whole profit and loss. So where I'm taking out taxes and expenses and all of that, if you want to get a very, very realistic picture of what it looks like. But so from here, let's get an annual or a monthly number. That means to make a living, 80,000 take home, you need to make $13,000 gross revenue a month. So now that we have that number, we can work backwards. And if you're new to the channel, I'm going to be looking at the golden formula for resellers. This spreadsheet is for sale down below. Friends, I'm getting over a little bit of a cold, so bear with me if my mind's a little fuzzy. So this is the golden formula for resellers. This is a spreadsheet. You can download it down below, or you can purchase it down below. It's like $3. If you're a YouTube member, you get it for free. If you have one of my dashboard, if you have the dashboard, it's in here and it does all the math with you, along with like tracking a lot of your other numbers and data and everything. But you can also do the math too. So getting the golden formula for resellers allows us to work backwards and figure out exactly what we need to do. So we have gross revenue. You have your sell-through rate times your active listings. So your sell-through rate is how many items you've sold out of how many you have for listed, right? It's essentially your volume, how many you're selling, times how many items you have available. And then your ASP is your average sale price. And that's on average how much your items are selling for. So the reason that I have this broken down into a formula is, if you remember in 7th grade math, friends, and I'm going to do that, the spreadsheet's going to do it for you, but just so you know what it's doing, if you remember 7th grade math, or even when do you learn equal signs in like kindergarten, 1st grade, an equal sign means this side equals this side. If this side goes up, this side needs to go up. And then if you remember 7th grade math in algebra, you can kind of work, if you're looking for one thing, you can kind of move things to the other side. You have your X variable, all of that. I'm not going to make you do that. I have a spreadsheet that does that for you. But I want you to understand what it's doing. So the golden formula, we have our gross revenue. If you come in here to the spreadsheet, you can enter in all of these numbers. So let's say your average sale price is $20. You want to make a living. You need to make $13,333 a month gross revenue. And you're selling on average, your items are selling for $20. And I just put a sell-through rate of 15%. Most times, the lower your average sale price, the higher your sell-through rate is. And we'll kind of look at some different scenarios for this and what you need to do. So that means that you need to have 4,000. Oh, what a pretty number. 13,333 at these numbers means you need to have 4,444 active listings. Now, there's different things that you can do here. Let's say that you can't find items for an average sale price and you want items lower than that. Your items are selling on average for $15. So that just means that you need to have more active listings. Your active listings have now gone up to $5,926 or 26 active listings. But let's say because you're selling items for $15, you are cruising through these items and your sell-through rate out of these 6,000 items that you have available, you're actually selling 20% of them. Again, we're back to that because we just flip-flopped the 20% and the 15. Yay for math. But we're back to that 4,444 active listings. So you can go in and mess around with this. This is exactly what you need to do. Now, how do you make that happen, right? The numbers are easy. Now that you have the numbers, how do you make that happen? And a couple things that I'm going to say is if you are doing items that are selling low, you need to have processes because it is a quantity game, right? You need to have a lot of items available, which means you are sourcing a lot, you are listing a lot, you are photographing a lot, you are shipping a lot. It is a process game. You are probably spending minimal time sourcing because you can find lots of items that sell for $15. So you're spending less time sourcing and you're spending more time in photographing, listing, shipping, and all of that, where your processes is going to come into play. To be able to have 4,444 items, you need to be not spending a ton of time on those. So I just want to flip this really quick and say, let's say that we have a 10% sell-through rate, but we're now selling items at $40. Let's actually make that 50 just for the sake of this video. You now have half the items available. You are spending more time sourcing items at $50 because you have less active listings. So you're just flip-flopping. Do you want to spend your time sourcing or do you want to spend your time listing, photographing, shipping? And this is where it can absolutely be done. But if you are going to be selling low price items, you need to be finding items that are selling at a high sell-through rate. If you liked this video, YouTube also thinks you'd like this video. I will link a playlist of how to make money reselling here, and then do make sure to hit that subscribe button.